Hello, Facebook family and friends. I am Terry Hatchett. I'm here with my husband, Frank Hatchett. And it's been a couple. Okay. My husband is always doing something. Okay, I don't know how this is going to work because he going to turn on his while I got mine on. My husband has a new phone, so it's like his new toy. Anyway,
That's just like telling somebody they got a new pair of drawers on.
I know it's not. It's phone drawers. Phone drawers. See, you see the difference?
He's telling business.
Whatever, man. Okay, so, babe, I wanted to talk about something that came up the other day, and I was really thinking about it, and I wanted to talk to you about it. You know, a lot of couples, young and old, go through a lot of things, and one of the things that came up this past week or last week was someone being right for you. And it made me start to think, because I know that when we got together, a lot of people were like, why her or why him, or what are you going to do, with that person, or why you with that person, and although we're not the type of people to justify ourselves, I felt like that us talking about someone being right for your spirit, and someone feeding your spirit and feeding you in the right way that you need to be fed, and what's good for you in a relationship, because I know that we have a lot of young couples around us. And of course, when you're young, you make a lot more mistakes. I mean, some older people make mistakes, but when you're young, you seem to make a lot more mistakes in relationships and being in relationships. Then when you get a certain age, you just don't have time for the SS, which is dumb stuff. Yeah, and so we had talked about that because, we all go through issues in these days and time, especially these days and time. We're not, just because we're in love or we have the spiritual belief, does not mean that we are not going through something, or have, some issues when it comes to life, because there is issues. It's like a roller coaster. Everybody has things that they have to contend with and go through. However, the difference with us is that we appear like, we don't have a worry in the world. And for real, we really don't, because we give all our worries to God. It's not that we don't have issues going on in our life. We just choose to give it to God and let Him handle it.
We just choose to deal with it a different way.
Yeah, that's
so,
correct.
And everybody, you have to realize too that everybody is not where we are.
That's true.
So with that being said, being right for somebody, you have to at least know where you are in order to know if that person is right for you or not.
Okay.
I mean,
so explain that. What do you mean by you have to know where you are?
You got to know what you want. You got to know where you are as far as within yourself, what you'll tolerate, what you won't tolerate, what you'll accept, what you'll compromise, what you won't compromise. It's just things along that line that you just figure, you got to know where you are and what you want. You got to be sure within yourself in order to know that when that right person comes, then that's the right person. Because you know, if you don't know yourself, how do you know what you want?
It's true. That's true. Well, what I see is a lot of young people, like young people in our lives and stuff. What they do is they're so. I guess I should say young people in general. There's this facade, this society says thing that you got to be with somebody, or you got to have a man, or you got to have a woman, and because of that society says rule, young people seem to just accept and pick.
And that I don't believe in that, because the thing is then you settle, and then you spend 10 or 12 years with a person, 5 years with a person, to just find out that that wasn't what it was supposed to be for you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're saying that, like I said, you need to work on yourself first. And nobody says you have to be with someone. Your main focus as a young person right now, the way today is set up, your main focus should be making sure that you're right financially, to where as though you can take care of all your bills and stuff like that, without having to lean on someone else. I mean, to lean on someone else is fine too, but it just depends on in what capacity you do it, and if you have the understanding that it's okay to lean on someone, the understanding between the both of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really be genuine to want to lean on somebody, or can lean on somebody. Um, as far as like children, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. But one step at a time will definitely put you in the right direction if you focus and do one thing at a time. You can't do 10 things and be all over the place trying to do 100 things at one time. If you're going to focus on getting a career, you might as well get focused on getting a career. And you really don't have time to worry about where your next girlfriend coming from, and you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Not saying that you can't have that, but the priorities should be the necessities first. Period. Your priority should be your necessity.
What I see, well, the young people around us, we talk a lot to the young people around us, the young couples especially. And I know sometimes it seems like, well, y'all feel that way because y'all are older. And because we both have made our mistakes when we were young too. However, this is what I'm saying these days. Life is short. That's number one. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. More so than ever. Life has always been short. We've always gone through things, but more so than ever now, because of the state that the world is in. We don't have time to settle. And like my husband said, first of all, you got to know you. You got to be satisfied with you. You have to be able to deal with you. I've stated this before. When I was younger, a question that my sisters and I used to ask each other is, would you marry you? At that time, it was no. Oh, no. But when you look at that, if I wouldn't marry me or be with me, why do I expect someone else to want to marry me or be with me? So that's why it's important to know you first and work on you first. The other thing is that we don't say that, you look for somebody with tons of money or somebody that you can totally lean on, like with money, financial, everything like that. We say look for somebody who's going to feed your spirit. What that means is that my husband is perfect for me because he gives me what I need as an individual. He takes care of what my needs are. Whatever that may be, that's what he does because God gave him to me as a gift. And as God is a God of completion, he gives you that person that's right for you. So whereas he might not be he might not have what somebody else might expect him to have, or might be looking on the outside in, for me, he has what I need. And that's why he's my husband. And that's what people in relationships should look for. Somebody who's going to handle their needs, who satisfy their needs, whatever that need is. And that's why you need to know yourself, because somebody can't satisfy the need if you don't even know what your need is. And it might not necessarily be money. It might not necessarily be a home or any material thing. It's what's within. My husband knows me so well that he can tell me before I realize what's wrong with me. Take for the other day, for instance, my eyes are sensitive to light, and it looks like I'm crying all the time because my allergies are always acting up and my eyes are sensitive to light, and the shades I had broke. I found another pair of shades and I was wearing them all day, and somebody asked me about them, and my husband quickly said, yeah, because her eyes are sensitive and her eyes haven't leaked all day. I didn't even realize, because I'm so used to my eyes watering all day, that my eye hadn't leaked because I had on the shades. And he notices things about me, and that's a need that I needed in me, and he fulfills that need. Um, Things he can tell me what's the matter with me before I don't even have to say anything, and he'll say, "What's the matter with you? I know something's the matter with you." That's a need that I need. So we say, find the need. What's your need? In order to know what your need is, you need to understand who you are. But if you have a person in your life that they're not satisfying your needs and they're not helping you out, what are you doing? You have to ask yourself, why am I in this relationship? They're not giving me anything. And physical is good. Don't get me wrong. Physical is good, but
sometimes people put too much into the physical.
Exactly. You put too much into the physical because, check it out, the physical is a temporary pleasure.
You know what I say? The physical is a pacifier.
Exactly. That's a good word.
And everybody, you know what a pacifier is. So it's just there for the moment. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It's just there for the moment to suffice for the moment. And that comes with settling.
Exactly.
That comes with not knowing exactly what you want. That comes with jumping around. That comes with fooling around. And I'm not saying that, please don't get me mixed up. I'm not saying that those are bad things, because through our life, we've all done those things. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When you're young, you do things and you learn along the way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You learn along the way. But the most important thing is to just be able to take the positive out of all that you've dealt with, and just take the positive out of all the negative. Because there is, even though situations are bad and, things happen, there's a message there. You just have to sit still and find the message in it. There's a reason why that happened. Mm-hmm. It's a reason why.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's a reason why. And if you sit still long enough and just ask, just ask God to reveal what it is, you'll find out. You'll find out. And then that way you can, start to turn things around. Everything is a work in progress. You can't just become this great person overnight. That's never going to happen. And as long as you're in the flesh and breathe the air on this earth,
we're going to make mistakes.
You're going to make mistakes, and you will not be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the only one that's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Amen.
So with that being said, just learn from the last mistake that you made and just correct things along the way.
And I say to most couples, a good sign is that if you can tolerate that person, after you have known yourself and you get to know yourself, and then you're with a person, because everything is always gravy in the beginning. That's what people say. But my husband says this a lot, and it is so true. First of all, my husband and I are together 24/7. There's not too many times that we are not together. And yet, in all the time that we've been together, what is it, about 8 months?
10 months.
10 months, okay. 10 months, and 24/7, most of the time, we have not had one argument.
Not one.
Not one. Now, that's a lot of time to be with somebody and not have one disagreement.
But, see, yet again, everybody is not going to have what we have.
That's true.
You understand?
That's true.
I mean, listen, I wish that blessing on everyone. I wish this blessing on everyone that we know that's in a relationship or want to be in a relationship, want to be married, or, just with someone. I wish this blessing on everybody, because...
But see, I don't believe it's not possible.
It's possible, but, baby,
I don't think that we're no special from anybody else.
I'm not saying that by far.
I think it's steps. I think it's, again, knowing yourself and having God.
What it is we know. Look, we're 50 years old. We're in our 50s. You've done a lot in your life. I've done a lot in my life. You understand what I'm saying? We both have been there, done that. But then it comes to a point where when you sit down and you ask God for it, then that's when it turns into what it's supposed to be.
Or says, I firmly believe you have... Hi, Or.
Bro, what's good with you, man?
He said, I firmly believe you have to understand what it is you want in your life that makes you complete as an individual. Then you must truly find someone who's going to compliment you in your soul. True. Okay, wait a minute.
What you writing a book, man?
True feelings must be mutual. There's not such thing as perfect, because as long as we're in this earth, we must see. Now I can't see because somebody writing something. Okay, not perfect as perfect, because as long as we're on this earth, we must. You're to work on yourselves for the betterment of defining what you want for each other.
That's true.
That's true, but here's the thing that I have about perfect. See, society will tell us that there's no such thing as perfect. However, if there was no such thing as perfect, then why do we have the word perfect? What's the point of the meaning of perfect? So there must be perfect. So for me...
Your perfect is different from mine.
Yeah. Everybody's perfect
right.
is different.
Right.
Because for me, my husband is perfect. For me. Not for everybody else, but for me, he's perfect. So I have and that's a word game because I'm big on words, like the word understand, and that's the same thing. If for me, society has it wrong with understanding. There's no to if I say I understand, that means I understand. That means it's below standing. So my thing is it should be I overstand. Because and again, that's just my way of thinking. I'm a little bit more out there. Whatever.
No.
Exactly. Perfect is how you may see a thing, person, or place. Exactly. So
it's all in your own understanding.
Yeah, it's all in your own understanding. So I don't believe there's no such thing as perfect. I just feel like perfect is personal.
You gotta pause it for a minute.
Okay, so I'm going to let my husband talk because I am in the midst of cooking while we're doing our live feed. So he's going to continue the conversation with relationships and the young people because that was the question. And something happened I want to ask you about after you say.
I know y'all looking at boxes and stuff. That's because we packing up to move. But I'm here. I'm on the other side of the room, and I just want to say I appreciate everyone that's chiming in.
I'm back.
Yeah, that was fast.
Mail me a plate.
No doubt.
I'm being lazy today. The plate is not a big plate. Matter of fact, it's real lazy.
That's all right. That's all right. That's good.
My husband allows me to be lazy every once in a while where he doesn't get a full course meal. He just gets snipped. He said, okay, Flash.
Hey, man, look. Hey, man, tell him we used to share a dollar french fry on Clinton Ave. So I'm thankful for whatever.
So another thing is, baby, I saw this Facebook prank, right? And I thought about you because I was like, it was a Facebook prank that this girl played. A prank that a girl played on her significant other. And for me, it was like, this would never work because my husband wouldn't believe it anyway because he knows me too well.
What's the prank?
Well, okay, so her significant other was at the store. And she took a pair of the jeans and she stuffed clothes in them. And then she took a pair of sneakers and put them under the jeans on the bed so that it looked like legs. Yeah. And she took a blanket and she got on top of the jeans and she put the blanket over it so that when her mate came home, it looked like she was having an affair. So I was going to, because you know I get into these. Okay, my husband is, yeah, my husband, he has learned to deal with me, but I'm always seeing stuff and always saying, hey, why don't we try this? Or, hey, what about this? What if this would happen? So I saw this Facebook prank. So I thought, hey, I might try that on my husband. The thing is that my husband knows me very well. And it would not have worked. Because he knows me so well. It's actually kind of boring because he knows me so well. And I can't do pranks like that because they don't work.
I wouldn't say it's boring, but knowing you is the importance of what our relationship is.
And that's my point. My point is that, you know, and I think that is one of the reasons why there has not been an argument in our relationship. Because of the fact that we know each other so well. And because, again, it all falls back to God. We have a trust in God, which, like my husband said, that's not for everybody. But I feel like that because of our relationship with God, our individual relationship with God, we're able to have what we call, for us, a perfect relationship. Because of our individual relationship with God. I must repeat that because it's not of the joining relationship with God, it's the individual. He has his own relationship with God and I have my own relationship with God. And because of that, we can come together. Because in order for me to, my belief is that a man is the head of the household. But in order for me to follow that and believe that, I have to have a man of God, because of the fact that when he does something that I might not agree with or I don't like, I take it to God. I can't take it to God if God don't know him. And I can't trust him to lead me if God don't know him, because I have a relationship with God.
I'm not going to say you can't lead. You can lead, but it's just, it's all according to
I was saying my belief.
No. And I'm saying, as a man, I'm just piggybacking off of what you're saying is a man leading the house.
Mm-hmm.
I just believe that if you don't seek God, there's no way you can run your household correctly. My belief only. I'm not saying that for everybody else, but that's what works for me. That makes it easy to work for my wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's what works for me. I'm not saying that everybody has to do that, but that's what I do. And again, that's in knowing yourself, to know what you want, to be able to take care of the necessities. You know what I mean? Knowing yourself to know what the necessities are.
And I feel that is very important.
And that's not just in, a relationship. That's in everything.
Yeah.
Really.
That's what I was going to say. That's very important, because in order for you to join with someone, and let's be real, even a sexual relationship, there is the passing of the spirits, what I call the passing of the spirits. And so that's joining with somebody. And in order for you to join with someone, you have to know yourself, and you have to have what's the word I'm looking for? You have to have a certain amount of security in yourself. Because if you don't, then you're going to bring all that luggage and all that mess into a relationship. And 9 times out of 10, I never say the word never, but it's not going to work. It's not going to be working, because you're going to have things that's inside of you. They're going to have things inside of them. And y'all going to come together in a thunderstorm, or what I would call a thunderstorm. Or said that's called understanding, brother, and there's nothing wrong with that.
You're right.
Amen.
That's the way it should be. Amen, brother.
Yeah, it should be some understanding. And what I would say to the young people is that, hey, a relationship is what you make it. What two people make it, coming together. And it cannot be because they make you feel good physically. It cannot be that. And it cannot be one person leading the other person. And that's, understand, I'm saying leading, not support. There's a difference between supporting and leading. If I had to lead my husband and tell him everything to do, and okay, I'm going to the store now. While I'm at the store, I need you to do A, B, and C. That's not supporting him. That's leading him. That's raising a child. I don't need to raise a child. If we can't, and that's a part of what I say about him satisfying my needs. Now, here's the thing with that. Maybe that's what satisfies your needs. And if that's what satisfies your needs, then okay.
So be it.
So be it. But that's not what satisfies my needs. I need a man to be independent. I need a man to think just as well as I think. I need a man that that's by his word. If I'm pushed into a corner, I don't want to have to feel like, okay, I got to do all the fighting because my man is not going to know how to fight to get out that corner. Or I got to come up with the idea. And I'm saying me, as that's not what I want in my life. I want to feel secure and protected. And my husband gives me that. You know, when I get tired, I can say I'm tired and I'm going somewhere and lay in the corner for a minute and know that it's okay because my husband got my back. Yet and still not taken away from me, because when it's my time to be strong and stand up, he still allows me to be strong and stand up. Just because, and he says this often, because my belief is that the head of the household is a man and he has the last word. Now that's just my belief. However, on top of that, my husband always says that,
even though I'm given the last word in our relationship and in our household, that does not mean that I have to negate anything that you say or negate anything that you think about or compromise at the same time. I have to be respectful, I have to be mindful, and I have to understand the things that you are willing to put up with and things that you're not willing to put up with. And when it comes to that point, then that means we have to sit down and come to a place where we can compromise about what it is that we need to get over. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard. It's not hard. It's just thinking, basically. You know what I'm saying? For real. Like, think. If you want, and see, and then too, what you have to understand is that if this is something that you want, you're going to do whatever you need to do to make it work, to keep it, to have it. You don't want a blemish on it. You know what I mean? If this is something that you want, you're going to do what you have to do to necessarily keep it squeaky clean. It's not going to be peaches and cream and roses every day. I'm not saying that. But if we can get 99.7% of the time a joyous occasion, I could deal with the rest of it. You know what I'm saying? I could deal with that other stuff, because at the end of the day, if you truly, truly, from your heart and soul, love someone, and this is just my belief, some things are just not that serious, that you can't get over, that you can't overlook, that you can't bypass. If I love you the way I say I love you, then there are some things that it wouldn't even matter. Okay, well, all right, that happened, let's get over it. We're bigger than that. We're bigger than that. Because love conquers all things.
I agree. And another thing is that, hey, Bert.
Bird, what up? You found it, Bird? All right.
And another thing is, we were talking about...
I needed you on this one, bro.
We were talking about our son, and we were talking to our son the other day. And one of the things that in a relationship, and I'm big on this, I'm the type person I'm up front. Here I am. As a woman, I'm not a society says woman. I don't play games. I ain't going to do nothing that what you see is what you get. I'm not going to do anything extra to try to get you that I'm not going to continue to do. That's my belief. I'm not one of these women who, let me put on makeup because he's coming over, or clean the house because he's coming over. If my house is dirty when you come over, it's going to be dirty all that time. And now I'm not one to be in a dirty house, but I'm just saying, I'm me. I don't try to change or do anything extra. Mainly, to be honest with you, I'm the lazy type. I ain't trying to do something extra that I can't keep up with. And I got a lot of pride. So I have to be who I am. And I'm not good at lying. So I have to be who I am, because I just can't be anything else. That's just me. So we were talking about one of the things that's important is understanding, having that talk before you get together or before you get into anything serious. Put it that way, because you know, you might not be serious.
Lust is misleading.
Yeah, yeah. And so having that talk to say, hey, here I am. This is what I'll put up with. This is what I won't put up with. You know, this is what I stand for. And if you can't deal with, that's fine. I'm not mad at you. You know, let's not spend the time, waste the time, because for me personally, I'm not the type of person that goes 5 years and then, but I thought woulda, shoulda, coulda. Let's put it out there so you know where we at. If this relationship is nothing more than just a jump off for us, let's put that out there so we both won't have no misunderstanding. If I'm seeing other people, let's put that out there. And I know for everybody that don't work, but for me, that's just the type of person I am. And my husband and I, even though we knew each other 5 years, it was a new discovery for us when we decided to be a couple. So we stayed on the phone. We were the type customer. What's that guy name? The preacher that did the questions. Oh. we did the question.
Creflo Dollar.
Yeah, Creflo Dollar. It was like, is this your hair? Do you have it? Insurance if you die? You know, can you bury you? We actually really did those questions, and over and over. And I am a question fanatic because I'm still asking questions. I'm still asking questions, even though I know him. But it's important because of the fact that it takes less stress out of a relationship. If somebody knows where you're coming from, and everybody that knows me know that I'm a straight up person, I don't pull no punches, I'm going to tell you like it is. I'd rather do that than have to have you come back asking me woulda, shoulda, coulda. And if I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry, but listen, at least you know from the get-go. So it's like, ask the questions. You know, don't be afraid to ask. Don't think, and especially for women, because society has kind of, I feel like, brainwashed us more so, because we have this society says way about us where some of us feel like, maybe along the way our love will withstand that or change that, or maybe along the way, he'll be so fascinated over me that he won't do that no more.
See, with that, it's two things with that. One, to be straight up honest, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time on both parties because of the simple fact that all of that time that you're trying to figure out or wait and see.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing genuine there.
Exactly.
So actually, in reality, you're nothing but drawing a wedge in between you and that person, because by the time it's over, you don't even want to be friends anymore.
Exactly.
And as adults, if we come to a situation where we, depart from someone and that's it, I still think that it's okay to have a friendship with that person, because there was a friendship that started in the first place, right? And number two, why would you just settle for a synthetic happiness?
That's a good word, baby. You go. That's my husband. You go. My husband is just so much. I just love him.
I can't, y'all. And this is what I deal with, y'all. Y'all see it, right?
Okay, but see, I told him, I'm straight up, I told him I was crazy before he married me. My sister Valerie warned him, so now I don't want to hear it. He's stuck.
I love every minute of it. But what you don't want to do is have a synthetic happiness, man, because that's the worst thing in the world. And me personally, I can attest to that. I've gone through that, and at the end of the day, I'm telling you, man, it wears on you physically, it wears on you mentally, and it wears on you emotionally. But then, like it's a snowball effect for things to roll downhill. When you're affected by one thing emotionally, when you do meet someone else, you can't let those emotions from your previous situation control your ongoing, let's say, your ongoing pursuit to happiness.
Your life.
You can't let that affect that, because if it does, you'll never know if that was it for you or not.
And you mentioned something about being friends afterwards. A lot of people look at me, well, women, because I'm speaking from a woman's point of view. My man, he had a life before me. Okay, now we come together as one. That's my husband, and I'm secure in that. And so I'm not the jealous type. And he has friends. He's friends with some of his past relationships. And for some women, I think as a woman, we get so caught up in the wrong things.
Right.
My man is here with me.
Right.
And even if he wasn't, and he decided to step out on me, there's nothing I can do about it, because he would have did it regardless. It's him and the type of person he is. So I don't have time to sit here and worry about who he talking to, checking his phone, where he going, what he doing online. That's just, first of all, I'm too lazy for that. I got my own issues, my own things. I don't have time, okay? So, he gonna do what he gonna do. However, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with him being friends with people he's had past relationships with. First of all, if it was so good, he still would have been with that person. That's my consensus on it. Obviously, I had something because he married me.
Right.
So why am I sitting up here worrying about, I don't sweat the small stuff. In other words, I don't have time to sweat the small stuff. My husband is here with me. He satisfied the needs I need him to be. Him being friends with somebody cannot make or break who I am and what I got to do.
That's right.
So I don't worry about it. And I think that and I guess that's a part of knowing yourself. Because we as women get so caught up in little things like, who is he talking to? He spends all clap, clap, clap. He spends all day in the studio, or he spends all day in this. And that's if he spends like my husband, he will spend all night in the studio. However, I knew that about him before I married him.
Right.
I knew what he did and what was his passion before I got with him. So if I couldn't deal with it, I should never have married him.
Right.
That's my consensus on it. He will be caught up in the studio. And then sometimes when he's away, when he comes home and when we're in the bedroom, he's still in the studio. His mind is still in the studio. It does not bother me, because that's his passion. That's the passion he told me he had. And he's doing him.
Not to mention, that's the business that
Exactly, and that's his business. So why am I caught up in what he's doing? Because I have my own things to be caught up. I'm in school, and it's not easy. And I have my own business that I'm caught up with. If I spend all that time worrying about what he's doing, where he at, who he talking to, we will never succeed as a couple. I'm taken away.
Right.
And it's one thing that we always agree on. If I can't add to your life, I'm not here to take away. I shouldn't be in your life if I'm going to take away. I'm here to add to him.
That's right.
Not take away from him. So we don't get caught up in the small stuff. And again, I say that goes back to, I guess, knowing yourself. And
that's the premise of the whole discussion today, is knowing who you are to be able to move forward in a relationship with someone, in a relationship, a marriage, or whatever the case may be. You have to know who you are, what you want, what you put up with, what you won't put up with, what you compromise with, what you stand for, and so forth and so on. Those are the things that you need to know before you get into a relationship with someone.
Exactly.
Because if you don't know who you are and what you want, it's basically a continuous cycle of bumping heads.
Exactly.
And tearing down what you're trying to build. And you can't build anything if you're tearing it down as soon as you build it. As soon as you put up a wall, if you take a hammer and put a hole in it, there was no reason for you to put it up in the first place. So with that being said, if you're going to put up a wall, make sure you put up a wall that you can paint nice. It's going to look good. You can hang a beautiful picture on it. You understand what I'm saying? And things are going to look nice where the wall is. The wall is going to represent something beautiful. So if you're going to tear it down before you build it up, it makes no sense at all to do that, because now you've just wasted a bunch of time building it, to put it up, to paint it, and do all of that, to tear it right down. And then if you had help, which should be the person that you're in a relationship with, you just wasted their time as well.
Exactly.
So there's no way you can have a healthy relationship or marriage without knowing what you want first, and then knowing what your mate wants and knowing who they are and what they are. That's why it's important to ask those questions. And it's okay to ask those questions. It's not it's not wrong to ask a person if they have life insurance. It's not wrong to ask a person.
Is this your real hair or is it paid for?
Right. And if it's paid for, did you lay it away?
Yeah. Are we gonna have a credit on our bill or what? What's your credit score?
Right. There's nothing wrong with those questions.
Can we afford a house?
Right.
Oh no, okay.
We still renting?
Yeah.
All of that stuff. Those are, but see, you know something? At the same time, those are questions that you ask when you start to get age on yourself, because in a young person's world, they're not going to ask those questions.
Well, see,
but that's why
you bring a good point.
That's why we're trying to give that information to those that are watching, or to those that tune in, that it's okay to ask those questions, because somewhere along the line, you're going to have to answer to all of those questions.
And he raised a good point, but here's my thing about being a young person. Let's say you're a young person with kids. You can't afford not to ask those questions.
Right.
Because male or female, because there are, all power be, because they will have us to think, society will have us to think that there's not a lot of males out there who are single parents or who are good providers for their children. And there are a lot of males out here raising their children.
That's right.
So let me just put that out there.
That's right.
But
we are strong.
Yeah, exactly. So let me just
all right.
Okay, baby. But saying that if you are young and you have children, it's important to ask those questions and think about those questions, because now you're not only living for you, you're living for those children. So you don't have the advantage of young single people who don't have any kids to be like, oh, well, we got time, or let's just see how this goes. Because you have other little people involved that affect their lives. So you don't want to get with somebody who you got to raise along with your children. And that's male or female. I say that, and I keep saying that, because there are a lot of males out here who's doing it, and they have to raise not only their children, but then they get with a young-minded female that they have to raise. And that's not good. Because you shouldn't be raising, and that's a part of
Adding and taking
adding
away.
and taking away. Exactly, baby. If there's somebody else in your life that's supposed to be your partner, and you got to raise them too, then they're taken away. But here's the thing, they're not only taken away from you, they're taken away from your children.
I want to say this because you have to be mindful of raising and supporting.
Exactly. There's a difference.
Two different things. Two totally different things. Raising and supporting are two totally different things. There's things that my wife may want that I might not be cool with. But if that's what she wants, I'm going to support it until I run out of breath. Because me not supporting it is taking her option away of continuing or pursuing something that she loves. So it's not fair for me to take away an option. That's not cool to do that. I'm going to let her do what she needs to do with that thing, and I'm going to support her 100%. I'm going to stand behind her, and if it falls down, I can't point a finger. I told you. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, you know what? We're going to conquer it on the next one. This one just wasn't it. But I'm going to let you run your course. I have to let you run your course with it. Even if I don't like it. I'm going to still support it. I have to. That's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So supporting and raising are two totally different things. I just have to throw that in there. Go ahead.
And on piggybacking off of that, it's like I said earlier. If you have somebody that you have to tell what to do step by step, that's like raising. That's raising.
Right.
You should feel free to, okay, everybody has a weakness, everybody has a strength. You're supposed to complement each other. Okay, let's say while I'm working, you doing whatever your strength is, and or if while you're working, I'm doing whatever my strength is. We're complementing each other. It shouldn't be whereas you're waiting on me.
Right.
To do something or come up with the ideas or make it work. This is a we thing. So we should be doing it together. That's support. That's support. That's not, okay, I gotta think of everything. I gotta go out here and work. I gotta come back home and do everything.
I have to devise a plan.
Yeah.
I have to fix it up.
Yeah.
And I have to carry it out.
Exactly.
What do I need you for?
Exactly. What are you here for? For sex? And let's put it out there. Some people live that way. But is that really, what is that doing? Especially if you have children.
And if you live that way, I'm not going to say more power to you because I'm going to say that you need to reevaluate some things because you deserve more. You're just settling. Exactly. And you don't have to settle. You don't have to settle with anything. God gives us a free will, a power of free will to do what we want to do. He gives us a choice to do good or bad. It's easy to go out here and take a gun and shoot a nigga in the face. It's easy to do that. But is it easy to stand there and let a dude slap you in the face and you tell him, I love you anyway? And that's real.
That's hard.
Yep. That's real. That's real. But that just goes to show how easy it is to do something wrong. Right? Mm-hmm. So with saying that in a relationship, it's the same thing. It's easy to do wrong. It's hard to support somebody that, has an idea that you really ain't down with. It's hard to compromise. I'll just say this. It's hard to compromise, just as an example.
It's hard to be around crazy, is what he tried to say.
No, I'm going to say this. It's hard, like on Sundays, dudes that like football and their wives that don't like football. It's hard to sit there and deal with a woman that's in your ear all day because games start at 12. If, like me, I like to watch the sports desk. That comes on at 11 o'clock. So from 11 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday, I'm in sports all day. And to have a wife or a fiance or a girlfriend that doesn't understand that, that's going to keep doing things to interrupt what's going on, that's hard for her because she doesn't understand the meaning of compromise. You understand? This is one day that I do this. We have 5 other days to do whatever we need. If you need a day, a whole day to take care of your fingernails and your hair and get your closet in order and take care of your shoes and stuff like that. And this is something that you do as a ritual. When I ask you those questions when I met you, then I have to be respectful of that because you told me that in the beginning. So we could branch off into different sections of this conversation tonight, but the premise of it is knowing who you are so you can proceed to have happiness and not something synthetic where you have to settle. Knowing who you are and asking those questions that are important before you get into a relationship or a marriage.
Yes. And that's why I said that I'm not the type to change who I am. Because, again, you know, I always say don't ask a question you don't want to know the answer to.
Right.
But if you have, because I have had this in the past where I have said, you know, I'm this way, this is what I'll put up with. And they looked at me and smiled and nodded and agreed. And then somewhere along the line, it's like they're looking confusing. But I thought, well, I said how I was. So I don't feel no kind of way because I already told you I put up with that, but I won't put up with that. So, you know, yes, it goes back to knowing yourself, but it also don't start nothing that you can't finish. You know, if somebody tells you who they are, believe them. You know, don't think, and I say this, I'm not picking on women, but us as women, being a woman, I feel like I can say that that's something else that we get caught up in. We'll hear a man tell us something. Well, we'll see them tell us something, but in our heads, we'll take it somewhere else and believe something else.
Because you're fickle, man. You're fickle to know what the hell.
If he says one thing, trust that that's what it is. You know, don't try to feel like, oh, well, he says this now, but later on, or let me put this on him and he'll change his mind.
Nah, that ain't gonna happen.
That don't work. You can have the greatest twat in the world. It could be raining gold and money. But a person is who, and that goes for a man too. He can have the greatest thing in the world. But a person is who they are. And if they're telling you who they are, I don't care how great the sex is, that's not going to change who they are.
It'll change for that time that y'all getting busy.
Fickled.
Yeah, they fickled, man. They fickled,
yes,
man.
He said fickled.
You know, when a man and a woman come together and they're having sex, there's really there's no importance to the outside world things, if you know what I mean. Ain't nobody thinking about rent, water, lights, car note, insurance, none of that. We thinking about
it's
how
good.
I can get that leg up. You know
it's
what I
good.
mean? What it's gonna be like if you on your knees. All right, this is a family show. Come on now.
Okay, public service announcement. Let me just make this, because this is not for everybody. But, however, I feel this is real. One thing that happens in a relationship is if you have sex before you're married or whatever you believe, before you're together, is that your emotions get caught up where you don't know what's real and what's not real. Because, yeah, it's a pacifier. Sometimes you feel like, you know, well, I don't like this. But then you know, it was like, well, maybe I can put up with it for a little while, you know, if they're doing it right.
No.
That's not it. Because what that is a facade.
And with that being said, I'm glad you brought that up. With that being said, room for stepping outside the crib.
Exactly.
And I mean that, and that's the truth. And nobody can tell me wrong.
Because what
you go to
where
work, you'll have 6 different women for 6 different things. Exactly. As a man. And a woman will have 6 different men for 6 different things. And that's the truth.
Exactly.
I'm in the crib with a woman that can only please me sexually by doing X, Y, and Z. And she's not with, A, B, and C. So when I'm outside, if I run into A, B, and C, I'm going to holler at A, B, and C. I got X, Y, Z at the crib. You know what I mean? That's not in every case, but a lot of the times, that's what happens. And truth be told, when that happens, you don't know where to decipher what's real out of that and what's just lust. So, in saying that, again, going back to the premise of the discussion for the evening, you got to know who you are and what you want. Do I want something that's going to keep me for 30 minutes in this area, but then I can't sit down and have an intelligent conversation with her? I can't sit down and joke and laugh with her. I can't genuinely bust a gut when I'm laughing. I can't say, babe, listen, I'm going to watch football for a while and be left alone.
I can't be honest and real. You can't be yourself.
Right.
And trust me, what happens in the dark comes to the light. And that's another reason why I can't be phony, because you can only keep up a facade for so long.
It gets tiresome.
After a while, you're going to get tired and you're going to be like, man. And another thing, a very important word that we haven't brought into it, but it's all wrapped up in one, is respect. Respect.
True indeed.
Respect.
For yourself.
For yourself and the other person. If you're putting up a facade, after a while, when you get tired, you're going to lose that respect. Then you ain't even going to care.
And then, like I said earlier, that hence brings in animosity or draws a wedge in between, and down goes the friendship.
And also with respect comes that's why I don't worry about what my husband is doing, because we have respect for each other, we trust each other, and we communicate. So I don't have to run around worrying about what he's doing or checking his phone or who you talking to or where you going. I don't have to do that because we have those 3 things: respect, communication,
and
loyalty, understanding.
I'm not...
Trust.
My thing is, I'm not going to go outside of our marriage for anything that I can get at home. All right? That might sound crazy, but I'm going to break it down. I have respect at home. I have loyalty at home. I have compromising at home. I'm not going outside to get any of those things that I have at home already. And if there's some things that I want at home that I don't have a problem sitting down talking to my wife and saying, babe, this is what I want. This is something that's going to make me happy. And I expect her to do the same thing. Because as long as we can keep each other happy, then there'll be no outside. And my personal thing is, she don't have to check up on me and wonder about who I'm talking to on Facebook, if I'm in somebody's inbox, text message, anything. Because I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize what God gave me. God gave me a gift in a woman that is for me, for me, for me. Especially made for me. She is tailor-made for me. So for me to go outside of that and do something different, I will be spitting in God's face. Because I asked for a gift and he gave it to me. And I have to know how to cherish the gift that he gives me. Because I went through a whole lot of other stuff before he gave me what I needed. You can ask God for something, but are you willing to stand the test of time, stand in there to get what he has for you? Amen. You can ask for it, but you may have to jump over a few obstacles. And
are you ready for it?
Are you ready to do that?
Are you ready for it?
Are you ready to do that?
And that's an important point, because some people pray and they ask for things and then they wonder why they haven't received it. First, our time is not God's time. Second of all, are you ready for it? Can you handle it? God don't give us no more than we can bear. Are you ready for what he has for you?
But he's not going to give you, he's not just going to give you.
Designed for you, exactly.
Right, right.
Tailor-made, exactly. That's what it is. And that's where the perfect comes in at. Because God gave it to you, so it's your perfect gift. And hey, check this out, young people, because I've heard this too. We all, my kids would say that we're older and we done really lived our house. They still young, they living. But check this out. Going back to the physical, because we have that understanding and that gift for each other, the physical is so much better.
Of course it is.
Because everything else, it's like dominoes. Everything falls into place because we have everything. You have to have a foundation to build off of. And that's why you can't start with physical. It has to be more than physical for it to be a foundation. So once you have the foundation laid, everything else just falls in place. And everything else is just so much greater because you have built the foundation. But again, that goes back to the topic. Know yourself. Learn yourself.
Yeah. Because if you don't, you're never going to have you're never going to get what you're supposed to have. You're never going to get, and that's the difference. You get what you settle for. You won't get what you're supposed to have.
Amen.
And that's a big difference. That is huge. As long as you get what you're supposed to have, then happiness is it comes with it. Happiness comes with it. So, in closing, because I'm ready to eat.
I was going to close. I got to feed my man.
Big nigga ready to eat. Hey, man, I got you on a plate, my guy. I'm going to bring it up when I come the next time I come up. I got to come up here on the second.
Oh, my God.
In closing, I just my words are, know who you are and what you want, so you won't receive synthetic happiness.
Ooh, I just love when he said that. You're gonna get lucky tonight.
Hey, it's a family show.
I'm sorry.
What you say, man?
He said, true, the conversation was great. Thank you. And we appreciate everyone who supports us in the Hatchett Chronicles. And I got to say, on a person, please keep supporting us because, as you can see, my husband does not like to be on camera and I don't push that. But, we're doing this. I feel like I got a word from God to do this. So that's why it's important. And it's important to him too. But the support helps us keep going.
You know what? I want to comment on that real quick. Now this is a perfect example of supporting whether you're with it or not, right? Because
Thank you, Or. He says, keep up the great work, you two. I'm so glad you two are in a union.
And so am I. Thank you, bro. I don't like to be on a camera. But whenever you want to do this live thing, I may give you crap, but at the end of the day,
he does it for me.
I do it. Because I know that this is something that's important to you. And if it's important to you, it's important to me as my wife. If it's important to you, then I have to be on board and be supportive with it because it's important to me that you're happy. You know what I'm saying?
I love that, man.
So, bros out there, I mean, you know, if I can do it, y'all can do it too. Damn it, man. No.
And
no, I'm only kidding, but support, man. Support, it'll go a long way. And I really appreciate everybody joining in, whoever joined in. I can't really see who exactly from sitting over here, but
okay, Talia was watching, but she's off. Banks was watching, and Orr.
And Joe. I know Joe was on for a minute too.
Yeah, and so was Davita.
Okay.
Davita. So we had a lot of people jump on, and we appreciate it. Keep on supporting us. We love you guys. Thank you, Orr. He was like, God is great all the time. He tailor-made you both for each other. Number one supporter. Thank you so much.
That's my brother right there.
I appreciate it.
We done rocked out for 23 years. That is my best friend in the world right there. And that's my dude. I love him to death. I appreciate you, man.
And I love you because he loves you.
I don't know exactly when the next broadcast is going to be, but
we're going to start doing it more often.
And I pray that, you know, these conversations and these, you know, the topics that we choose. I mean, even if there's something that you guys want to talk about, if there's a topic, you know, leave it on Hatchett Chronicles and we'll get it.
Exactly.
And then, you know, we'll go live and we'll discuss that too. And if there's someone that you think may need help in this area, please invite them to look on or go on and join our page so that, you know, if there's a way we can help someone, because I truly believe that my wife gave this, God gave this to my wife for a reason, because she's really adamant about it, and I'm going to support it. And if there's something that we talk about can help someone in a situation, out of a situation, going into or coming out of, I just want to say God bless, and we're here.
Okay, let's get this. Or said we have to talk about what popped off in VS this past weekend. So let's make another.
There's another day for that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Maybe we'll do that one day this week.
Days.
In 2 days. Yeah, that's good. In 2 days, we do need to have that topic. And we will. We'll reschedule that for 2 days. We'll set a time.
Man, because there's some things I got to talk about.
Yes, he has some things to say. And so do I. And again, thank you for the suggestion. Or if there's anyone who would like to talk about anything, hey, post it in Hatchett Chronicles and we will schedule that to talk. But that's a good one. Or we're going to talk about that. Give us 2 days.
I'm gonna put I'll put it up, or my wife will put it up when we're going to go live and talk about that. So, Mad, hit me on the low and let me know when a good time, because I know you got some things you want to say too. So
definitely, we're gonna do that. That's a great idea. Thank you. Good night, and good night all. This is Hatchett Chronicles. We out.
We signing off. God bless. I love y'all. Peace.
Peace.